On October 4, 2018, Q Post 2337 stated, Israeli intelligence stand down. Exactly 5 years to the day, an unusual thing happened. Russia and the US had simultaneous emergency alert tests. Then, 3 days later, Benjamin Netanyahu ordered Israeli intelligence to stand down, allowing Hamas to invade. And media assets embedded in Hamas were removed.
America held a nationwide emergency alert drill yesterday. Every phone, television and radio sounding a 1-minute-long alarm. It affected everybody, even those in the White House. Have a look.
No, there you go. Okay, thanks everybody. I'm just kidding.
I turned mine off.
All right. I know it works. Every couple of years, folks.
Now, the noise was accompanied by a message saying this is a test of national wireless emergency alert systems. No action needed. They haven't always gone that well. Breitbart reported how in 2018, a Hawaii state emergency management worker pushed a button on accident that alerted Hawaiians of an incoming ballistic missile threat, which, thank God, never occurred. And earlier this year in Florida, residents were woken up at 4:45 a.m. by a test emergency alert sent to their phones accidentally. They meant the alert to go to televisions, which, of course, wouldn't have been on while everyone was asleep. It accidentally went to their phones. There were some conspiracy theorists around this, Liz. Some people said that the alert would set off particles from the COVID vaccine and turn you into a zombie. But what wasn't a conspiracy theory is that the Russians held an emergency drill on the exact same day at the same time.
Oh, coincidence? I think not. But I hope people are paying attention, because this goes to show the government can commandeer your phone whenever it likes. So imagine what else they're capable of.
Проводится проверка готовности системы оповещения населения. Просьба сохранять спокойствие. Внимание всем! Проводится проверка готовности системы оповещения населения.
قرنها این نظام
گفتیم واسه محساس این یکی هم واسه انجام وظیفه مامورای دریده هر کی تو جنایت و شریکه آویزون تو میکنی ممیله این واسه دار واسه تیر واسه داد مثل شیر مثل شم واسه بید واسه باد این واسه همه رانتیا واسه بدهی کوکتلا میره تو هوا کشای زرهی واسه آزادی بن لالایی جنگ واسه همه خنده های قاچاقی فرقی نمیکنه ناجا باشی یا بسیجی با ماشین رو تو رد بشی این واسه ارتشی که با نظام بامانی واسه متجاوزای مأمور تاغازی امام جمعه تاغاری واسه نفرتی که تو دل همه جا دادی واسه رسیدن به همین لحظات پایانی واسه آزادی ایران اشغالی عوض کردن جای مجرم و شاکی شماره پزشک کنار شماره ساقی این انقلاب تنها راهی یکی داریم این واسه سوریه واسه عراق واسه شب واسه خاموشی چراغ این واسه کابوسا چای با تو با بطری خالی گالونای بنزین و صابونا مامورا رو آتیش میزنیم جای فانوسا ریخت تو شیلنگ فکر رو زمین این واسه روزایی که سگ تو زدیم واسه حق واسه خوب واسه بد واسه زیر واسه بم واسه خون واسه تن نگو نگفتیم ما پیروزیم ما هنو نمردیم این واسه همه فریادایی که میزنی تلفات میدنی این یکی هم واسه فقر تحمیلی حوادث طبیعی واسه هر تبعیضی که فکر بکنی واسه تبیدی واسه پیروزی جلو پلیدی این واسه ترس واسه جیغ واسه حبس همه چی که نیست همه چی که هست واسه نازیای اسلام گرا به شما مقصد همنامه که مثل دوراب تو دهنه یا دور گردن واسه آزادی بازار انحصاری اعتصاب پول نفت همه چی انقلابی ما از شما بیزاریم این واسه یه روز خوبیه که ما میاریم واسه بی شما راهی که یگانه میشن ادامه میدن به مغز تو رو دیوارا گرافیتیشن در ازای هر کشته هزاران هزار نیکا اضافه موشن
As the world debates the military response, 19 days since the worst terror attack in Israeli history, its leaders are trying to frame the stakes, today laying bare the brutality in graphic detail. Here's Raf Sanchez.
It felt like there couldn't possibly be new horror left to see. No brutality that hadn't already been shared or live streamed. But tonight, with global attention turning to the spiraling death toll in Gaza, Israel's military trying to keep the focus on the massacre that sparked the war, inviting NBC News and other journalists to a screening of raw video from the October 7th Hamas terror attack.
I have some sense of what's in this footage, and I've been trying to prepare myself, but I'm still anxious about what we're going to see.
For 46 minutes, we sat in stunned silence, watching video filmed by Hamas and filmed by their victims. Much of it had never been seen before. And while Israel's military is not releasing the clips because they're so graphic, they allowed us to describe what we saw, including a terrorist throwing a grenade into a bomb shelter where an Israeli father is shielding his two young sons. The blast kills the father and wounds the little boys. One of them howls, "Why am I alive?" and tells his brother, "I think we're going to die." A Hamas gunman stands over them, drinking Coke from their fridge. It's not clear what happened to the boys.
I'm sure that you can figure out that they are worse than ISIS, the way they behave.
The military released this video from a Hamas dashcam exclusively to NBC News, saying it shows a terrorist using a heavy machine gun to mow down survivors fleeing from the Supernova Music Festival.
Because I knew I just have to survive, I just have to run.
Millet Ben Haim was among those running for their lives.
When I was growing up, there is this movie about the Holocaust. There is this scene that they're running and there is people shooting at them and there is also like bombs on the ground. And I remember really thinking about this scene because it was so similar.
She hid in a bush with friends for hours waiting for rescue.
I don't know who I am and I feel like a ghost most of the time.
Raf, it's a lot to take. Is there a sense this video could be seen eventually by a wider audience?
Yeah, Lester, this video has only been shown to journalists so far, but many ordinary Israelis are saying it should be made public for the whole world to see.
Netanyahu
Netanyahu intentionally let Hamas kill Israelis. Both the IDF and the Israeli Air Force both stood down for 7 hours. You won't believe what a Jewish charity leader told me today.
Israel has the most sophisticated intelligence in the world. There was no way the government didn't know that that was going to happen. We're friendly with several good people in Israel. One is Rabbi Hanania Weissman. He knows a lot of people in Israel. He knows confidential sources that he shared with us their information about the stand-down order. And he sent out a missive that, indeed, the IDF was given stand-down orders, both the Army and the Air Force, 7 hours to stand down while those attacks took place. And this allowed the terrorists to come in and begin slaughtering and torturing the citizens. Personally, I think that this situation is akin to a family keeping a rabid dog in their home and then blaming the dog when the baby gets bitten. The parents needed to remove the dog many weeks ago, right, before the dog had a chance to injure somebody in the family. So I look at the government of Israel, and they really needed to make sure that these people did not proliferate on their borders. And so they are held partially accountable for having to now go kill God's creations in order to secure their border. This should never have happened.
Jeffrey Prather, it's an honor to have you on today, sir.
Thanks for making time for me.
Absolutely, happy to do so. Thank you for taking the time out. Now, you contacted me yesterday with an urgent analysis that we need to share with the world. So let's just start with that. Just jump right in.
Yes, thanks. And thanks for having me. So I confirmed right after it happened that Israel's so-called intelligence failure could not be an intelligence failure. Anybody who knows Israel and the border, which American taxpayers paid for, by the way, there are multiple redundant systems. It is highly fortified. It is highly censored. There are troops and drills every day. And so what I said early on was that any intelligence professional that says that this was an intelligence failure by Israel is either lying or a fool. And I stand by that. Because anybody who knows, Israel may be the best intelligence service in the world. And that border, which American taxpayers help pay for, is the most heavily fortified border in the world. And I stand by that statement. And recently I had on my American Media Periscope show. And by the way, I'm going to announce, breaking on your show today, that I have left American Media Periscope. For reasons which I'll get into if we want to get into that, but I'm breaking that on your cast today. When I had General Flynn on recently, I asked him, I made the same statement, and he, of course, is also an intelligence professional. He was on the National Security Cabinet for President Trump. He was a former head of the DNI. He was the DNI, Director of National Intelligence. He ran the DIA, where, I was an intelligence officer. And he concurred with me. He agreed and said there is no way that Israel missed this, and there is no way that they just breached that border. And he even went further, and this was a very courageous statement for him because he's a much bigger fish in the patriot movement than I am. I'm way on the outside, and I don't care. I just tell the truth. But he, through Clay Clark's Reawaken tour, he has a substantial audience, but he was very courageous and said, "No, I agree with you, Jeff." And then he went further and said it had to be some kind of stand down. And he surmised there was a stand down at about 0400. And that has since then been confirmed by other sources, from former border IDF commanders to charity groups to many other sources, because Netanyahu came out and said, this is Israel's 9/11. Well, we have since learned about the FBI and CIA involvement in our 9/11. We've learned about the Israeli art students that were infiltrated by Mossad, by FBI. We've learned that the FBI wasn't allowed to investigate the terrorists that were learning how to fly planes in Arizona and not allowed to investigate them. We've learned all that. And so we know that the deep state, which is really the intelligence community, planned and allowed 9/11 to happen. I also, worked with another friend of mine, Tony. I can't think of his last name. He's a big commentator now. He was a DIA in he was with the DIA in Afghanistan, and he data mined.
Schaefer? Was it Schaefer?
Tony Schaefer. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, he and I were. I was living a cush job in DIA headquarters in D.C. He was over in Afghanistan, but his Operation Dark Heart data mined Bin Laden, found him, and they covered that up, and then they came after him. What DEA did to me, DIA did to him.
Right.
So we know that that's happened. So if Netanyahu makes the statement that this is Israel's 9/11, then the natural question to ask for real patriots is, well, then were they in on it? And the clear answer to that from me, confirmed by General Flynn, is yes. And he said that his intelligence circle was infiltrated. He went pretty far out on a limb there.
The latest ghoulish development following the slaughter of 1,400 Jews in the October 7th Israeli attack on Israel is quite a shocker. The AP, CNN, Reuters, and the New York Times used footage and photos from reporters embedded with Hamas terrorists during their slaughter of hundreds of Jews. These Western media outlets then posted the photos in their coverage of this horrendous surprise attack on Israel. AP reporter Hassan Eslaya took photos and video while traveling with Hamas killers during the massacre. Hassan also provided photos to CNN. Youssef Massoud provided photos to the New York Times. Hassan Eslaya, an AP CNN photographer, was seen with Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar following the slaughter of Jews. On October 7th, Hamas terrorists were not the only ones who documented the war crimes they had committed during their deadly rampage across southern Israel. Some of their atrocities were captured by Gaza-based photojournalists working for the Associated Press and Reuters news agencies, whose early morning presence at the breached border area raises serious ethical questions. What were they doing there so early on what would ordinarily have been a quiet Saturday morning? Was it coordinated with Hamas? Did the respectable wire services, which published their photos, approve of their presence inside enemy territory, together with the terrorist infiltrators? Did the photojournalists who freelance for other media, like CNN and the New York Times, notify these outlets? Judging from the pictures of lynching, kidnapping and storming of an Israeli kibbutz, it seems like the border has been breached not only physically, but also journalistically. Four names appear on AP's photo credits from the Israel-Gaza border area on October 7th: Hassan Eslaya, Youssef Massoud, Ali Mahmoud, and Haytham Ali. Eslaya, a freelancer who also works for CNN, crossed into Israel, took photos of a burning Israeli tank, and then captured infiltrators entering kibbutz Kfar Aza.
AP, CNN, the New York Times, and Reuters had journalists embedded with Hamas during the October 7th massacre.
A Reuters journalist photographed a lynch mob brutalizing an Israeli soldier. So grotesque, we actually couldn't show it to you there. And here you can see two photographers snapping photos of terrorists as they're kidnapping a woman there that was on that motorcycle.
These are not journalists. They are intelligence operatives.
Do you have any people being paid by the CIA who are contributing to a major circulation American journal?
We do have people who submit pieces to two American journals.
Do you have any people paid by the CIA who are working for television networks?
This, I think, gets into the kind of getting into the details, Mr. Chairman, that I'd like to get into in executive session.
Do you have any people being paid by the CIA who are contributing to the national news services, AP and UPI?
Well, again, I think we're getting into the kind of detail, Mr. Chairman, that I'd prefer to handle in executive session.